welcome back, everyone. It's a nice Monday for most of us here. I'm Omar, as always, joined by my good friend Marshall. Rocking, is that I'm gonna embarrass myself. Is that Bayern Leverkusen?
Bro, this is AC Milan.
Dang. Okay, that was my second guess.
That was your second guess. Oh, and your third guess was Man United.
Yeah, man, you. Hey, I only watch the real football. I'm sorry, I only watch the real
What, fan
football.
controlled football? The only real football?
Yeah, no, actually the spring league is coming soon. When I was in
Spring
the spring
FCS
league.
football? The only real football?
No, I'm talking about the spring league, not like the
Oh,
professional league.
oh,
I'm talking about the spring
TSL.
league, the TSL. So I have to
Got
be a
it.
TSL commenter once the season starts.
Okay.
Take on
Okay.
a new identity.
Do we have any? Are there any players we know competing in the TSL this year?
I don't know. I do not know.
I feel like the TSL is like the kind of league where it's like you could like look up one day and you'll be like, oh, you're like, why the hell is Jamarcus Russell in the TSL?
Oh man, I wonder where he's at nowadays. I mean, I don't know, man. Maybe I think he was like trying to come back. I think like every year, every like now and then, you hear like these like outrageous comebacks. I remember Tiki Barber tried to come back 6 years after he retired, and it's just like, what are you doing, man? Like, what are you
It's
doing?
actually hilarious, dude. Who was it? Did you see that post the other day? And it was like, there's a coach talking about how he was hanging out with like Rondé Barber and Tiki Barber, and they're like little babies.
Oh yeah, Bruce Arians.
Yeah, it was Bruce Arians. That was it. It's a heartwarming story right there.
Yeah, it's heartwarming. It's also troubling because Bruce Arians had a fro in the picture. I can't imagine Bruce Arians with hair, much less an afro. Like that's, oh my gosh,
It's powerful.
it's powerful. Yeah, I mean,
All right,
Bruce
well,
Arians is invited to barbecue. We'll
yeah.
start off with that. He's invited to the barbecue. But our topic today, I'm taking a little page out of the Chris Paul outfit book with the Bayou Classic shirt.
Okay.
And that is this Saturday, and it's different than a lot of Bayou Classics. Grambling and Southern playing this game, as it's in Shreveport at Venerable Independence Stadium, home of one of the best bowls that the SEC has, or actually they don't have it anymore. They loved it so much they let it go, the Independence Bowl. But it's not in New Orleans like usual, as you guys might know, and it's also another sad occasion because it might be the last one broadcast on the NBC family of networks. But we'll get to that later on. Um, First off, we're going to talk about a little bit of SEC football on CBS. And I'm going to start off by saying the SEC has a Black Friday problem. I think it was mid March where they announced that they moved Missouri, Arkansas to Black Friday. And we all know that game's going to be on CBS with like the usual games like the Apple Cup, which I'm not complaining that's on Black Friday. That's actually a good game year after year. And the Commonwealth Cup, Virginia Tech. But I mean, the numbers are ugly. I mean, this is probably like the worst game year in, year out on the SEC on CBS slate. And I want to know your thoughts, Marsh. You think CBS should change things up with this Black Friday game?
I'm thinking about it, and it's like I almost think they shouldn't, because if you think about it, what is the Black Friday slot? It's definitely not going to be a primetime slot. Because what are people doing on Black Friday? They're definitely not carving out time to sit down and watch some football. They're over there trampling over each other in Walmart trying to get that new PlayStation. Like I feel like if you're gonna have a slot here, it almost should be a bad game. Get it out of the way so that it's almost like an opportunity cost thing. Like this allows you to reduce the opportunity cost of putting this game in a better slot that could have been taken up by getting more views. Like whereas you can have this game delegated to a spot where no one's watching, or you can have a crappy game put on like a Saturday primetime slot. Like which are you gonna do? I think it almost kind of makes sense in like a very sad kind of way. Like it's logical. It's a business move.
Okay, I mean that's fair, and I guess I will give you that it is a bit of a throwaway slot. And the TV numbers for Missouri, Arkansas kind of say that as since 2014, it's only been the highest rated game in its TV slot one year, and that was in 2014. And churning out the average win loss records for Arkansas and Missouri coming into this game, you're looking at a 4-7. I mean, it's 4.5 and 6.5 as in wins and losses. So we'll call it a 4-7 Arkansas team playing a 6-5 Missouri team on average. And I mean, it's just not attractive, especially when you think about some of the other games that have been on that like afternoon slot on ABC and Fox. Like you had the 2017 Warren I4, that iconic USF UCF game. back and forth Mackenzie Milton and Quentin Flowers. That game, an American Conference game, got a 2.7 rating and 4.64 million followers. You had a 2015 Nebraska Iowa game where Iowa was on their way to the playoff at the time. They're still undefeated, and that game had a 3.9 rating, really high for a Black Friday game, and 6.189 viewers. So I'm gonna have to push back on that a little bit. But it's like what are they countering with in those years? Like that 2015 game, you had a 6-5 Arkansas squad playing a 5-6 Mizzou squad, and you have a game that has playoff implications on the line. And then that Warren I-4 game that I was competing with in 2017, Arkansas came in 4-7, Missouri came in at 6-5. But granted, I mean, there is an appetite for Drew Lock. The young people seem to love Drew Lock because he raps on the sidelines and he does cool things.
Omar, if John Elway loves Drew Lock, the young people are gonna love Drew Lock. All right. But you know what? That's interesting. Like I was, I'm over here. I was like theorizing a little bit, postulating some of the Black Friday scenarios there. But you know what? Given those numbers, maybe it's not as much of a throwaway with the slot as I thought originally. Like maybe they should stop disrespecting that slot with little Missouri, Arkansas. Maybe they should throw in a little bit of a. I mean, if you're talking about putting an Iowa team in there, you're talking about putting in, UCF, USF in there. Like those are quality programs. Like you said, Iowa on their way to the playoff. That's anything but a throwaway game. I'd be curious to know relative to other like good slots that like Iowa that year got, right? Maybe like in the week before and the week after, like what kind of rating they pulled, just to see for comparison. Like, was this like a lower rating than before? Was it higher? You know what I mean? Like, it's hard to say, I guess, in a vacuum, but I guess at the end of the day, the game can draw eyeballs. I don't know. What would you like to see in that slot? What kind of SEC lineup are you seeing? Are you envisioning for the coming Black Friday? Right after you go and you get David his PS5 and you come back and you throw on the TV. What are you hoping is on there for you guys to watch?
So, I mean, I'm hoping for a rotation because I like equity. I'm a fan of parity in all sports. Like, I'm excited this spring that there's going to be a couple first time playoff teams in the FCS, and I mean, it's cool. It's exciting. But what I'd like to see is like a rotation, because there's like plenty of other rivalries that weekend that aren't Auburn, Alabama, and like the Egg Bowl, which is always on Thanksgiving. You got like Vanderbilt, Tennessee. Like Vanderbilt, I think at one point went from like 2001 to 2013 without any CBS games, which is absurd. You have like a conference exclusive contract, and like one school doesn't get any games in the span of 12 years. So I think that's like a prime. Like if you're gonna like put attention on some lesser schools, you got a brand in the conference, even though Tennessee hasn't really like put their money where their mouth is in the past like heck 10 years. You got a brand in Tennessee, you got Vanderbilt. Like that could draw eyes. Or even like one of the rivalries that has an out of conference opponent, like Louisville, Kentucky, or Georgia Tech, Georgia. I doubt Georgia Tech, Georgia, with the stature of that game, would want to move to Black Friday, but I can see Louisville, Kentucky, considering that game used to be played on like Labor Day Sunday, like the Labor Day Eve, the Sunday before Labor Day, and I think it's funny how Lamar Jackson wins the Heisman in 2016. And I mean, I don't doubt that CBS had these talks, but Lamar Jackson wins a Heisman in 2016. He comes back in 2017. Kentucky's at home versus Louisville, and the CBS executives decide, no, Missouri, Arkansas. We'll take Missouri, Arkansas, not Louisville, Kentucky. That's just bonkers to me. It's ridiculous. Maybe they had those talks, but I mean, you got to keep everyone happy. But if I'm Vanderbilt or like Kentucky, like I'm not happy with Missouri and Arkansas hogging up the spot, hogging up like valuable TV time on Black
Bro,
Friday.
give me the Egg Bowl on Black Friday. I would love to see, I saw a little banter between Lane Kiffin and Mike Leach over there on Twitter earlier this week. I love to see a little Egg Bowl action on the Black Friday.
Yeah, I mean that one's on Thanksgiving though. Like that one's like locked into Thanksgiving, so
Mm,
I like that one.
that's
But
fair.
something,
Okay, well that's fair. That's fair.
but I mean something that going with that idea, I think would be interesting to see for the sake of history instead of I guess Mississippi State, Mississippi, the Egg Bowl on Thanksgiving. And this will be hard to do since Boston College and Miami are on opposite ends of actually was that game on Black? I think that game was on Black Friday. I was gonna say like rematch the Hail Flutie game on Thanksgiving night, but that game was on Black Friday night. Which I mean I think that would be cool. Just like anytime, whenever that cross divisional game comes up, Boston College
Bro,
might be
big brain
good.
idea on Black Friday, blackout uniforms.
I don't know how I feel, man, because like you have those rivalries, man. Like the,
Wait,
I
isn't
mean,
Black Friday, bro? Black Friday is one day after Thanksgiving. You could easily just move the Egg Bowl one day.
yeah, I mean, I do agree, but who's gonna play on Thanksgiving? Like that's like, and
Texas,
I
Texas
guess
A&M, bring it
fourth
back.
away, so
Bring it back.
that's not happening. That's not happening. Like Julian Edelman going to the Hall of Fame, that's not happening.
Damn, I.
I'm
What do you
sorry.
think? You think it should?
No,
Really, bro?
no.
A Super Bowl MVP, three-time Super Bowl winner. You don't think he's in the Hall of Fame?
Okay, you put Julian Edelman in the Hall of Fame, you're gonna put Jordy Nelson in the Hall of Fame. Okay, but
No, because
let's
I
back
feel,
up.
dude, I feel like people have been playing greatness in the Hall of Fame rather than numbers. Otherwise, Tony Romo would be in the Hall of Fame. Matt Stafford would be in the Hall of Fame. You know what I mean? Like they put up volume numbers. Volume numbers are nothing. Greatness is the Hall of Fame.
Greatness. Okay, greatness. I mean, yeah, I can't deny his playoff greatness, but he wasn't that consistent. Like, I mean, if you look, like it took him a couple years to get going on the pages, and I'm not doubting he's a great player, but his prime was like short relatively if you think about it. He had a pretty short prime and like only a couple 1,000-yard seasons. But I digress. I mean, we're
What
not NFL.
you really don't want an out of position Hall of Fame player?
Yes, I do, but not Julian Edelman. But I forgot what we were saying. We were saying, oh yeah, like Texas A&M, Texas not gonna happen. But
Bro,
yeah, I
blackout
think
uniforms. How sick would it be if you do like a blackout uniform versus a whiteout uniform on Black Friday? That would be sick.
I'm trying to think. Like, let's see, you have Washington.
Almost
Washington's
kind of
yeah,
like
that can happen.
Halloween esque.
Yeah, that can happen with like some of the games that are on. Like, I know UC if USF ever lets go of those highlighter green neon uniforms. I don't know why they're trying to do neon green. Like, it just doesn't look good with on them. It doesn't.
Think about it, it's a timeline. I remember a few years ago, you see Baylor basketball throwing up some neon green uniforms. Everyone's hating on them. This year they win the championship. It's a process, Omar. The neon green, it's a process.
USF has to first make a bowl game out of the American before they can win it. UCF has to figure, or USF has to figure out how to beat. I think. Well, they beat Temple. I think.
They have
Or
to figure out how to beat UConn.
yeah, UConn more because UConn's not in the American. But yeah, no. I mean, I just like to see more out of that slot. I guess on Black Friday
That's
with
fair.
the SEC.
I mean, you know what? It is. You know what? I say everyone's out shopping, but now that I think about it, it's like, when was the last time I went Black Friday shopping? You know what I mean? It's almost like the crowd is off putting at that point. And people are expanding Black Friday to Thursday now. They're expanding it to Wednesday.
Yeah,
Interesting, you know?
I mean, you think of like
Let's see it.
rivalries.
Let's see a better game. Let's send an email to the commissioner. Let's see a better game on Black Friday.
Yeah, for that, or at least a rotation, because I'm all about equity in terms of TV
Yeah,
deals.
I definitely don't want to see a Missouri Arkansas budding rivalry fermented on Black Friday for the next 20 years before one of them breaks 500.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like, I mean, it's good for them because like Missouri just generally doesn't get slots, and I don't think Arkansas either unless you're playing Bama. But it's not like there's much history in this rivalry compared to like a Vanderbilt, Tennessee, or like not even like one team with like a lot of history on like Thanksgiving or Black Friday. Because when I guess when the like Nebraska Iowa on ABC, take that one for example. Like, yes, it's not a historic rivalry per se, but Nebraska has history on Black Friday and Thanksgiving. You know, Nebraska, Oklahoma, being played within the Big Eight on either Black Friday or Thanksgiving, especially that 1971 game, which I can't believe Nebraska tried to back out of. But anyway, and then you take that when they move to the Big 12, and Nebraska and Oklahoma are in different divisions, but you have Nebraska, Colorado on Black Friday every single year. Like, there's that history there. It's like it just seems kind of random, you know. And what's curious to me is why the SEC decided for the final weekend to put Arkansas and Missouri as rivals as a final weekend rivalry, and not our and decided to not keep Arkansas LSU, because I mean that was kind of a good thing that they had going, honestly. I mean, those are some competitive games like Darren McFadden versus LSU and so on and so forth. Like, those weren't bad games, but I don't know why they decided to change.
I mean, you say so on and so forth, but does it not just end at Derek McFadden?
Yeah, you, you remind me of this video where it's like I think it was Vern and Gary. There was like a list of like the best like completion percentage performances in a game in SEC history, and their quarterback at the time, Casey Dick, really his name, but they were laughing because he was like on the same list of like Tim Tebow and like some of the greatest quarterbacks in SEC history, and like they saw his name, they're just like clowning him, man, like because they knew that was Darren McFadden's team. But all due respect
Bro,
to Casey Dick,
when you tell me a notable Arkansas team, I'm going to Darren McFadden, and then I'm gonna have to jump like 70 years in the past and think of Jerry Jones played for him.
yeah. Well, but what about the walk on Brandon Burlsworth? What about the movie made about him?
What
You're
movie?
about the greatest walk on story of all time.
What movie?
It's Greater. They made a movie about Brandon Burlsworth. Great, probably like a better walk on story than Rudy, but
Well, I'll have to check it out because I'm not familiar.
no, it's great. It's a good one for sure. Um, so I guess it moves on to our talk about the Bayou Classic, how that could fit in. So NBC Sports, I guess I wouldn't say it was much of it was a surprise at the time, but it makes sense how they decided to shut down NBC Sports Network and decided to move a lot of their content to Peacock, which um, they became a smaller and smaller player in college sports broadcasting, only having like Atlantic 10 basketball, and that's about it. And the Bayou Classic, as they got outbid for the Ivy League. I mean, Ivy League Friday nights on NBC Sports Network were some lit times. They really were. With the Foes Bowl one back in 2016, Penn versus Harvard, honoring the with Penn honoring the 1916 Rose Bowl team. But anyway, um, yeah, so they got outbid for the Ivy League, and really they just didn't have much sports inventory, so maybe it wasn't a surprise. And the one sporting event that's sort of the odd event out is the Bayou Classic, which was broadcasted on NBC. And this game's between Grambling and Southern. Broadcast on NBC from 1991 to 2014, so a good 24 games in a row, and got moved to NBC Sports Network. But I mean, it's still, kind of like the watermark football game on NBC Sports Network. And now I don't think that those schools want to be on Peacock. I think they want to be on linear TV, even though like we'll both agree that things like Peacock are the future. But I want to hear your thoughts on this idea. Say like CBS, and this is really a shot in the dark, but say CBS scraps the Missouri Arkansas experiment on Black Friday. It sends that game to like the SEC network, and they decide to put the Bayou Classic in that afternoon slot on CBS.
I like it. I mean, it would definitely be more historic and more meaningful than Missouri and Arkansas. I mean, and when you're talking like the afternoon slot, are we talking like afternoon and night slot, or are we just talking afternoon as the night slot?
I'm talking like 3:30, or maybe
Got
even
it.
like push it back a little bit, so it's kind of coming on as like those or like the noon games kind of end, and like what games are blowouts, and then
At that rate, then like why not even just have Bio Classic and then Arkansas, Missouri? Like it seems like there's still room, you know. I mean, not to say like that, you know, Arkansas, Missouri, I would rank higher. Like I'd rank the Bio Classic higher, obviously, and I think Chris Paul would also rank the Bio Classic higher. But I think, I mean, you know, and it's like we've talked about before. It's like when you start giving exposure to some of these programs that are probably like even more exciting than just a couple middling SEC squads, like just kind of dueling it out, seeing where you know the game could end up 17-7, or it could end up, you know, like 25-3. Like you don't know. It's like going to be boring though. You know what I mean? But it's like you get these two programs and there was some history with something to fight for. Get some exciting announcers in there, you know, making a little cool calls. Like that could be a little bit electric, you know? Could be a little electric.
yeah, we're not going to mention his name. I feel like we overuse his name. He's probably tired of us now, but you guys probably know who we're talking about. But you're forgetting one thing, Marshall, and this is something that I don't want to bring up because HBCU football is so much more than this, but the bands. I mean, if CBS put a bunch of production into the halftime shows, and I guess, you might want to have to push back Missouri, Arkansas, because, the halftime shows take a while. So, like, maybe have, like, the Bayou Classic at noon and then Missouri, Arkansas at 4 o'clock. But, I mean, the bands, too, like, as much as I hate to say it, I'm pretty sure a lot of, like, mainstream America watches HBCU classics that are on TV for the band shows. Because, like, that's what they think. Like, it's always, like, those deals in the contracts whenever it's a paycheck game. It's like, make sure you bring the
Yeah,
band.
no, I mean, think about it. It's like the movie Drumline, you know, is a bigger production than any like movie about HBCU football. You know what I mean? Like, I'm definitely with you. Like, I think if you think about, you know, what people go for. People go for the Thanksgiving Day parade. You know, they go for like the theatrics. They go for these like events. Like they go for the Rose Bowl parade. You know, like they're gonna like tune in to something that's like a little bit more memorable. They'll tune in for the Bayou Classic, the HBCU bands. They will tune in for that. Like I think that's definitely you definitely have a point there.
Yeah, and like usually there's like, I mean, there's usually a lot on the line with the Bayou Classic. Like maybe like not this year because Grambling's 0-4. They've had some like really bad troubles this year, but I feel like it's one of those things where and correct me if you disagree with this, but I think it's one of those, the SWAC is one of those conferences where if Grambling isn't great, then I think the rest of the league kind of like struggles in terms of exposure, just because like the nature of like in the history of HBCU football, it's like you ask someone on the street, casual college football fan, to name three HBCUs, they're probably going to go Grambling Southern, maybe Florida A&M, maybe Bethune Cookman,
And then they'll say
Gray.
Deion Sanders.
Yeah, they'll say Jackson State too, probably because of Walter Payton as well. But it's like it's just one of those things. I feel like Grambling is the flagship program, and it's expanding now. Like they have a lot of, I mean, they pretty much have like all the great HBCU schools in Division 1, which I think if CBS, I mean, CBS might do that with it as an experimental sort of thing, like they're doing, I guess, with the Patriot League Championship, where it's really a low risk event. This Patriot League Championship, like no, like what are they going to what is CBS Sports Network going to broadcast in the spring? Why not bring the cameras out to Lewisburg, Pennsylvania for Bucknell Holy Cross? I mean, why not? Like it. I mean, it might be a low risk thing for sure. Like to start off with.
Yeah, we all know you would love them to broadcast a little Holy Cross football for you, and then we'll check the ratings, and it'll be a rating of what 0.001, just one person. It'll be Omar Borja over there at his dorm.
Oh man, I was about to when I found out that they decided that Bucknell was gonna be the host school, even though Holy Cross and Bucknell had a common opponent, the Fordham Rams, and Holy Cross beat Fordham by 10, but Bucknell lost by 14 at home. Bucknell was going to be the home team because Bucknell played 3 games. I almost had an Adam Driver like breakdown, man. I was like, every day I wake up and have to listen to conferences make arbitrary rules.
He said he can't keep getting away with it.
That too. I mean,
If
they
we
make
had
fun of
if we had
Bucknell's
higher
defense.
production quality, we could get someone to put that in right there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that'll be like honestly, I guess. Shoot, I don't know too much about like Twitch streaming. I guess like that'll be like, can someone put a Poggers in the chat? Can someone put a Jesse Pinkman in the chat?
Or maybe when they donate like $1, they'll get it. He can't keep getting away with it.
Yeah, exactly. Like these conferences can't keep getting away with it. Like it's like they're making up the rules as they go on. But I digress. Like, um, I do think the Bayou Classic has a lot of potential, but especially that this, I feel like this is something that we just keep bringing up because we keep talking about CBS. Like, I feel like a lot of people aren't talking about the predicament that CBS will be in a couple of years once the SEC leaves. Like, legitimately, what are they going to do? I mean, and
Bro,
this is
like literally, like like the SEC is probably more likely to go to Peacock. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like truly, like it's like sad. Like they're probably gonna get, dude. It's like you're seeing all these. I saw even more. Like I think Facebook. I was like reading or something. So, one of these social medias, they were like putting up fat money to get some more sports stuff in there. So there's definitely no shortage of capital going around to lure in these conferences to a lucrative streaming contract.
Yeah, and something I forgot to mention earlier. I mean, you being a finance guy, like I think CBS would benefit from diversifying their portfolio a bit, in terms of conferences and different sporting events. And the Bayou Classic, I guess, starting maybe 2022 or 2023. But like, folks, the likelihood of this happening is, 5%, maybe less. But it's an idea. We throw ideas around here. But
And you know
diversifying
what? And you know what? A new idea for them would be better than the same old not winning that they've done. You know what I mean?
well, I mean,
They can
they
do
were
they.
winning. Oh, go ahead.
I mean, I'm just saying, like, they could do the same old thing, and not expand, not grow, not try something new, not try and figure out where they could build a future. But who knows?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, again, they're on the clock. We're talking about the draft. We're talking about the draft soon. They're on the clock for what they're gonna do. I mean, we just might not have CBS like be a broadcaster of college football, and that's something our parents, knew when ABC had the TV contract for a while. It'd be kind of strange. Like, I mean, the '90s are coming back. A lot of the '90s is coming back, especially a college football with CBS. But you never know. Um, I mean, I guess that concludes all we have to speak about at this point, unless Marshall has any additional speaking points. Um,
You know what? No, I am all good today. We'll keep it short and sweet for the listeners out there.
yeah, for sure. I tried to slide into the DMs of a former Grambling quarterback to have him on our podcast a while back, but that obviously didn't happen. But you
We'll
know,
continue our love for Grambling regardless.
and Southern, Southern. I mean, how does Southern feel with all these people talking about Grambling, like Doug Williams? Shoot, who else? So that's like Doug Williams. I think Willie Harris is another Hall of Famer. Eddie Robinson. Southern, like they got some ballers too. Like in the past, like they have Aeneas Williams. I think went to Southern, a Hall of Fame corner for the Cardinals, and look that up real quick. And I think they went to like 4 straight Heritage Bowls in the '90s. So like Southern's not a slouch of a program either. And yeah, Aeneas Williams Hall of Fame safety did go to, or yeah, Hall of Fame safety did go to Southern. But yeah, that game will be on 2:30 on NBC Sports Network. And again, if anything, I don't know if they'll bring the bands because of COVID, but it's just a historic rivalry on this weekend in a year that's lacked a lot of rivalries, especially the Ivy League ones. But
Yeah, I mean, we'll just have to keep bearing with, the COVID times. I think there's an end in sight, so hopefully we'll get a return to normalcy soon. What was that, President? A return to normalcy?
is that I want like an American president?
Yeah, no, that was his whole campaign. His whole campaign premise. He said, "I'm campaigning on a return to normalcy."
I
Here,
don't
watch.
know.
Here, let me search that. Let me search that real quick. Let me search that real quick.
Because I was about to say like that sounds like something Churchill would say, man, like in the '40s.
Return to normalcy was Warren G. Harding's campaign slogan.
That man is one of the worst presidents in American history.
Look, I like the slogan. All right, I don't know much about the guy.
Good slogan, man, but he is one of the worst presidents.
I'll have to say, if he's campaigning on a return to normalcy in the 1920s, there's probably some issues going on there.
Let's see. I mean, by then, I think things were all right. Let's see, because it was. I'm messing up my presidents here, but he was. I know Coolidge came after, so he would have been after Woodrow Wilson, I believe.
Yeah, no, Woodrow Wilson was beginning of the 1900s.
I thought he carried America to the end of World War II. That's what I thought. So I think it was
Wilson?
Woodrow till 1921. Yeah, succeeded by Warren Harding. So I mean, things were already normal when he took office. Like, what is Warren G. Harding?
That's what I'm saying, bro. This is the 1920s make America great again. Is what that was.
I mean, nothing could be as bad as Woodrow Wilson, Mr. KKK himself.
You know what? You're definitely right.
Like,
I think you know what? This just highlights the issue with everyone in that era, really.
Yeah, I mean, what can you say, honestly? Like, I'll just leave it at that because I mean, every historical figure we revere has their own skeletons in their closet.
Two sides to every story.
Exactly. I think that's a good point to end. I mean,
I would agree. Considering this is not a history podcast, we will cut it off there.
A nice cautionary tale for our scholarly viewers. But until next time, unless Marshall has any final comments.
I am all wrapped up here.
Peace, love, and soul, everyone.